All right, continuing with part 2 of the digital storytelling introduction. Another reason I like using this with students is to help teach visual literacy. And that's actually an important 21st century skill that a lot of students, we assume they automatically have it, but that's not necessarily true. So this is a good way to dive into that. So how do you start? Well, when you're trying to decide what you're going to do your story about, because you have to create one of these, just ask yourself, what's the story I want to tell? What's the story I want my classmates to know? What's the story I want my professor to know? One of my students last year said, you know, what's the story I want my daughter to know? Okay. And then, depending upon that story, what does it have to do with you? So you can't really, you know, if you're going to do a story about President Obama, you can't really do that unless somehow it ties back into you and your personal struggles and your, you know, somehow it relates to you. Okay? So usually it's best, especially for this assignment, just start with your own personal life and personal experiences. And then, you know, find what the personal part of the story is. What's the part that you connect to, that you believe in, and that you can feed into. I love this quote by Joe Lambert in his book, Digital Storytelling, Capturing Lives and Creating Community. And actually, Joe Lambert at the Story Center in San Francisco really created this whole genre of digital storytelling, and they go around the country doing workshops on this. But his quote, "Finding and clarifying stories helps people understand the context of their lives." And I think it's one way that as teachers we can, you know, help students benefit from education in a personal way, because sometimes we just go through life without really spending any time on reflecting and understanding ourselves and our values and what's happening to us. Sometimes we, you know, especially youth, right? One of the skills they lack actually is reflecting and going back to an experience and going, oh, what did I learn from that? Or what was the meaning of that? So I love that storytelling can do that. You need to identify the emotions in your story, and there should be emotions in your story. And then once you've identified the emotions, figure out how you can visualize the emotions, all right? So you don't have to say, you should not have to say sad or angry. Let the pictures carry the story, and that's the part of visual literacy where you're taking pictures to be symbolic. So if you want to talk about the house that you grew up in, maybe you literally have a picture of a house that you grew up in, or maybe you just have a picture of some random, you know, window on some house that is symbolic of the openness that you felt in your home or something. Let the pictures carry the story. And then you need to visualize your story. How do the visuals and sounds bring the story to life? All right? How do the visuals and sounds bring the story to life? You need to visualize it. I love this cartoon. So the one on, you know, as I'm looking at it on the left, the girl, she's doing it step by step logically, and the boy, he's got this picture of what the final product's going to be, and that's how he's putting everything together. And that's what you need to do in your digital storytelling. That's why I'm asking you to write out a script for this and email me your script, because I want you to know your story completely before you start recording and start putting all the pictures together. All right, so this is the end of part 2, and